I know is more about building my profile than attracting buyers. I knew that as a top agent. I saw that. And once I saw it for what it was, I walked away. That was it. In my view, it crosses a line. When the industry continues to let agents convince homeowners to spend thousands on marketing, knowing full well the buyers are already known to them, that borderline's unethical. And that's why I stopped. The finance industry knows at least 80%, probably 100% of the people that are going to buy in the next 12 weeks. They already know their names. They know who they are. They know how to get in touch with them. They know everything about them. They know what they want to buy. They know if they need to sell a house. They know where they live. They've got photocopies of their driving license, of their passport. They know how much they earn. They know how much they spend on junk food. The mortgage broking industry knows buyers really, really well. Why are we actually paying so much money advertising to find people that the finance industry already has? The finance industry knows all of this well before anyone shows up to an open home. And so this idea that we haven't been able to mesh the finance industry with the real estate industry is kind of crazy. I was in real estate for years and I was very successful. And I'm not telling you that to impress you. I'm just telling that to impress upon you that I have experience at the front lines, and I sold a lot of real estate advertising. And when I sold real estate advertising I built my business. The more signs that I had up, the more faces that I had on signs, the more I built my business. So my outcomes in real estate were putting up signs. I knew that if I got a sign and banged it in at the gate, over the next 12 weeks, buyers would come and buy. So then I got marketing, and that raised my profile, and I told all the neighbours, and it was all good stuff. But the irony was I kept seeing the same buyers turning up at my open homes, and in the end, ethically, I couldn't continue to do that and pretend I didn't know who they were. If there's going to be 10 homes sold in your suburb in the next 3 months, that means there's 10 buyers. That's it. 10 people are going to write out checks. There's more properties available in your suburb, I'm sure, but 10 are going to sell. You need to make sure that you're talking to those buyers that are ready to write out checks today. That doesn't mean to say that only 10 buyers come to the open homes over the whole 12 weeks. Of course, there's a raft of other buyers, but there was 10 buyers ready to buy in your location over that quarter. And, your goal is to get in front of those buyers. And if those buyers didn't come through your property, then you want to know why. And if they did, then you want to know why they didn't buy yours when they were looking in that price range. And the thing is, there's no secrets about who those buyers are. The mortgage broking industry knows exactly who they are. So we just had to develop a system where the finance industry was happy to engage and bring their buyers, and the buyers were willing to engage and come on board, and we've done that. Because, of course, buyers that are in the system get connected with the vendors that haven't even gone to the market yet. So, there's properties selling that people wouldn't even know are being sold. Well, that's the underlying principles. Properties will sell, and a vendor will go on there, match with pre-approved buyers in their location. Your property's worth $850,000. You go on there, you match. You're going to match with, say, 14 buyers for Howick at $850,000. Now, when your neighbour goes on there and matches tomorrow, they're going to match with 14 buyers as well. So, there is a large number of buyers, and they will go around all the properties. The critical thing is that the properties that do a Yelsa Connect buyer match first, they are the properties that will sell, and other buyers that are waiting for those properties to come to market through the traditional channels will be left waiting, and they'll keep saying, oh, we missed out on that property, we missed out on that property, and the market will shift because this will give buyers early access to properties, and competition will be created through early access. So, one vendor may have 14, 15 buyers. Those buyers are all highly motivated. There's every chance that the vendor can, with the right management from the right agent, get 2 or 3 or 4 offers from that pool of buyers. And that will prove value. Vendors just want to know that they've got the best price available in the market today, and nothing proves that more to a vendor than multiple offers from serious buyers. And so they can go into Yelsa, run a buyer match, find, say, 14 buyers that might be suitable for their property, get those buyers to attend the property with an agent. The agent gets 3 or 4 offers. The vendor's presented with evidence of what their property's worth from real people in the marketplace who have been looking at lots of property, and the vendor can make a decision. At that point, often the vendor will sell. There's been no spend on display advertising. And so if that happens 25% of the time, success will build success. The more that happens in the marketplace, the more people do it. The more people do it, the more that'll happen in the marketplace. So it's just really a matter of time. And so that's what we're evolving and developing, this ecosystem. And, I just wanted to, clarify that, because I'm getting loads of questions asking me, why does this threaten Trade Me? Why does this threaten OneRoof? And hopefully it answers the questions, because you can see that if we take out 25% of all of the available market for Trade Me and OneRoof before they even need to advertise online, before they even need to spend money on display advertising online, because they already connected with 12 finance pre-approved buyers, they got 3 offers that were competing against each other, they achieved more than they hoped to achieve, and they chose to sell, and therefore there was no need to advertise on Trade Me. That impacts Trade Me's bottom line. End of story. They want to keep that huge income generating stream in play. They want to keep the delusion going that you actually need to spend all of this money on advertising to make sure you found the very last buyer. That's just crazy. Because buying property is not like buying ice creams or even buying a car. You can be driving down the road and you can see a car on the side of the road and you can think, oh, I've always quite liked that car, and you can find yourself pulling over and next thing you bought a classic car, Most of us, if we really wanted to, could probably buy something incidentally. It's based on what we have and what we earn, of course. But there's a lot of incidental purchases. But how many people incidentally buy a house? They're just driving along, they see the sign, they just happen to be flicking through the newspaper, catching up on the week's news at the local cafe. Oh, and they saw a full-page advert for a new property up on the Port Hills that was going to auction this afternoon, so they jumped in their car and rushed up there and bought it. It's just unheard of. It's crazy to imagine, but my sense is that we're going to really have this rammed down our throats through the media partners of the 2 biggest benefactors of this type of advertising, Stuff News and NZ Herald. Those companies have ownership relationship with Trade Me and OneRoof, and Trade Me and OneRoof stand to lose the most if 25% of the properties that go to market connect with buyers through the mortgage and finance managed database that Yelsa manages for the finance industry. Then that's 25% reduction in their income. And they're not going to like that. So they're really going to deploy those networks of their social influences, the Stuff, News, and all of that stuff. So, it's exciting times. This is a big play from real estate's perspective, because real estate represents 16% of GDP. The next closest single group is agriculture, 6%. And there's a miscellaneous group of a whole lot of industries that gets up to 9%, but real estate is 16% of GDP. And that's a lot of people that are employed by or generate money out of the real estate industry. So it's a big player. And a change like this shifts a whole massive spend. If we pull this off, if the market decides it's ready to have direct connections and to let go of all of that historic cost and all of those historic belief systems around needing that cost, and recognises that the real buyers today are in the marketplace, they're working with mortgage brokers, and they have buying profiles, and every day more and more buying profiles. So as we get known, more people will have buying profiles, more vendors will have more success. The interesting thing is that what we've seen in the early days is that the people that chase this the most, with the most energy, are people who currently have their homes on the market. And of course they do. They've got a great big sign on their front gate, a big real estate sign that actually says, help me, I want to find a buyer. It doesn't say Harcourt's, for sale, open home Sunday. The vendor thinks it says, help me, I want to find a buyer. Do you want to buy my home? So these people are looking for buyers currently today. They're really open to the idea of buyers. And we're getting quite a few of them logging in and running matches on their properties. And so we've created a system where they can invite their existing agent and they connect with those buyers. What that's meaning, though, of course, is that some of our buyers are getting invited to properties they've already seen in the market. But as time goes on, we'll have more new vendors come into the market and they'll reach out to buyers first, and that's when this thing will really come to life. Imagine as this thing becomes more known, in 2 months' time, people go, oh, you can go on Yelsa Connect before you go to market. And they jump on there and they find 12 buyers and they invite those 12 buyers. If you're not one of those 12 buyers, you're not seeing properties early. So the cat's out of the bag. I've spent a long time trying to convince people that this is the future of real estate, and I've spent a lot of money doing that, and I've staked a lot of my reputation on the outcome of this. And now that I've got people like John Bolton involved, he can see this thing rolling out exactly as it should. He's got the vision and the foresight to understand the value of it. So, John's a real asset for us. And, because you can see the vision, he's sharing that amongst his peers, and he's incredibly well respected in the mortgage broking industry. So having an advocate like John is a huge advantage. We've had a few teething problems where people have been invited to properties I've already seen and stuff like that. But on the whole, buyers have loved the concept of this, that you get invited to properties before they come to market. They're quality properties. You get the option to just consider them in your time and to respond, and it's non-invasive. It doesn't require you to be on the internet all the time trying to make sure that you keep up with things. There's a lot of advantages, and buyers are telling us those advantages. And so mortgage brokers are enjoying the fact that it's keeping their buyers connected with the market and it's giving them a better level of service. The biggest advantage to buyers is, of course, they get invited to properties that aren't coming to market. If you don't have a buying profile here, well, you just won't get invited, and you won't know that they existed, so you'll miss out on a part of the marketplace. And so we're starting to see that buyers are recognising that now as well. It's an interesting process, and I think that's destined to change the real estate industry. So my predictions for the rest of the year is that as more and more people start to connect, particularly coming into spring, vendors are going to be looking to avoid spending all of that money because they've come through a pretty tough couple of years. And we all have, me included, we've all gone through these tough years with inflation and all of the rising costs. So people are going to be looking to save money, and saving $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on advertising to connect with buyers that you can find online directly, mortgage broker pre-approved, is going to become more and more popular. And as it becomes more popular and more people start doing it, then I've got no question it'll start to take on a life of its own. And we've just created a platform for people to actually engage with that process. And now it's really a matter of setting it free and hoping that people engage with it and that we've got the message out there. How do we think that we're threatening Trade Me or OneRoof? We're not really threatening them. We're just reducing the available market to them. So when we reduce the people that want to spend money on advertising online, that impacts them, I suppose, is the answer. This prediction is about how real estate actually works. I believe is about to change permanently. I think that this year for real estate, 2025, is going to be the most significant change real estate's seen in New Zealand in history, really. It's going to be probably bigger than the shift to real estate online advertising in around 2000, because at that time, the principles still remained the same. The idea was that you paid and displayed and interrupted somebody's day enough to get their attention. And the online marketing platforms like Trade Me that popped up, they relied on the same thing. You paid and displayed and hoped to get the attention. So, I think this is going to be a bigger change than that really. And the interesting thing about this, if you've been following real estate, the finance industry's seen it. Mortgage brokers have seen it, and more importantly, the founder of Scroll Mortgages has seen it. John Bolton, JB. He's backed it. He's no casual bystander. He's personally put his name and reputation behind the concept. He's got a reputation for being a real visionary, and he predicts how the industry is going to change with accuracy. And I don't think he's thrown his reputation in behind this without having confidence that this is a really tangible change within the industry that can happen. So he's come out publicly in support of what we're doing. And this isn't happening because I've known him for years or because he's some long lost mate or a cousin or something. It's happening because he believes in what we're building. What JB saw was that the finance industry already knows the names, addresses, phone numbers, budgets and preferences of nearly every buyer who will purchase a home in the next 90 days. End of story. So if 10 people are going to buy a house in your suburb this quarter, mortgage brokers already know who they are. Because before buyers view homes, they get finance. They get advice, they get approved, and that's where the buyer journey starts, not at an open home. Now here's the contradiction. The real estate industry, the franchises, the companies, the online marketing platforms, print media, they'll continue to perpetrate this delusion that a homeowner needs to spend thousands to find buyers. The industry already knows intimately. They've already viewed previous listings, attended auctions, made email inquiries, texts and phone inquiries about properties. So what the big real estate groups understand is if you bring all the buyers, there's no need for a homeowner to spend up large on marketing, ultimately promoting the real estate brand. So don't rock in with all of your buyers, conveniently lose them. You see, that's the real game, and I know it because I played it. I was one of those agents that made a really big money. Year after year, I seemed to connect with people well. I attracted clients naturally. I was very fortunate. I did extraordinarily well. And I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm just saying to impress upon you that this isn't coming from someone who failed at selling real estate. I could easily go back to sales today and make a lot of money again. But my conscience won't let me. I can't condone taking thousands of dollars from vendors to spend on marketing that I know is more about building my profile than attracting buyers. I knew that as a top agent. I saw that. And once I saw it for what it was, I walked away. That was it. In my view, it crosses a line. When the industry continues to let agents convince homeowners to spend thousands on marketing, knowing full well the buyers are already known to them, that borderline's unethical. And that's why I stopped. I don't expect this wee spiel of mine is going to increase my popularity within the industry, particularly the real estate advertising industry, but it was never going to be popular with that industry. The critical question now is, what do homeowners want? Do they want to connect directly with buyers? Do they want to give their agent the buyers and the tools to do what agents do best, manage buyers, prepare offers, run competitive processes with serious motivated buyers? Now homeowners can access mortgage broker managed data. So why would they want to start throwing thousands at display adverts that just interrupt strangers, giving you nothing more than, hey, you've got another watcher on your listing? That's not insights, it's voyeurism. Platforms like TradeMe and OneRoof rely on keeping the old pay and display systems alive because it generates hundreds of millions of dollars a year in advertising. So what do? They buy the media. They buy the big social influencers. TradeMe now owns 50% of Stuff News. OneRoof is owned by the NZ Herald Group. Ownership of these influencers gives them control over the message. So we're going to start seeing stories like long campaigns, the perfect buyer, showing up late, how that advertising created a great result. You won't see stories about the finance industry databases of buyers that can be directly accessed. Meanwhile, vendors are already changing the pattern. They're running buyer matches first. They're connecting with known qualified buyers before they spend a cent on advertising. Let's imagine they get 10 matched buyers, invite those buyers to view their home before they advertise and get 3 offers. They make a decision, they sell without even needing to go public. If 25% of the vendors do this, if listings never hit the open market, that's 25% loss of market share for advertising platforms, because if a property is already sold, there's no need to monetize the listing. No clicks, no campaign, no fees for an ad platform. The finance industry knows this too. They know they can reduce the cost of sale, protect their clients, and offer a more efficient path by connecting people earlier in the process. And if they open their buyer pools to vendors, if they allow their data to power this change, it becomes a closed cycle and the old real estate system becomes optional. The media platforms will resist. They won't promote this story. They won't promote Yelsa. Unlike the great startups of New Zealand like Sharesies and Xero, they didn't threaten their income, so they were good headlines. There won't be a media moment for us. And that's fine, because homeowners will drive this. They'll make the choice. So here it is. We're not trying to disrupt the system. We're simply offering a better way, one that costs less, works faster, and connects buyers and sellers directly before the money is spent, before the noise starts, before the ad goes live. And that all begins with one very simple question. Why wouldn't you match buyers first?